All right, in recovery, at what point do you feel like you got this, or do you ever? I think all of us can say a little something on that. We got
and I should
5 minutes.
restate, recovery doesn't suck. Sometimes the process of recovery sucks. Because I
You have
really,
to embrace the suck.
yes, yeah, you do have to embrace the suck. I'm very, very grateful for recovery. You don't arrive. I mean, if a parent asked this question recently, like, when do you know? It's just, it's a process. I think once you've gotten to the point where you understand, the need for recovery, which has been said to us a bunch of times, recovery is just a fancy word for healing, right? You never stop peeling the onion. You just go from one layer to the next. It doesn't mean it's always hard. It doesn't mean that there's always a grind, but you don't leave that. I mean, if you think about cleaning your house, right? You don't stop doing the laundry. You don't stop doing the dishes. You don't stop vacuuming the floor. I mean, you might for a week because you take a break, but right, then there's a mess at the end of the week. It's the same thing. Like once you've I have come to understand, I'm really bad about using the word you today. Once I've come to understand that recovery is a lifestyle, you can not journal, you can not talk to your sponsor, but you realize you're drifting, and as we've said a bunch of times, you realize that you're glad you have that anchor because you've drifted and it pulls you back. But you never, no, it doesn't end. You can find a different path for yourself. It doesn't, you might not be the person that needs to go to a meeting every week. I still go to a meeting every week. It's good for me. The community is good for me. But I don't think there was another component that I was trying to remember.
Do you ever?
Yeah, do you ever feel like you've got
Feel
this?
like you got this?
Yeah, no, the complacency kills, right? Like if you think you've got it, like your ego's starting to my ego's starting to take back over, and I'm realizing that my arrogance is gonna get me into a pretty ugly spot. But the daily grind, the exhausting, the being here day in and day out, the Cornerstone running your life, yeah, it ends. It does end, and it's totally worth it. But does healing ever end? No. I think that's all I got. Love you guys.
Cool. Love you. All right. I want both of you guys to answer it. Keep it kind of brief.
So I haven't thought about drinking or using in years, which is crazy to say, right? And I agree with what's been said. Complacency kills, but at the same time, I don't need to hit 3 meetings a day. I don't need to call my sponsor every single time I have a negative thought. I'm pretty interdependent on everybody in my life. I know what works for me, right? I've been sober for like about 8 years, so I've pretty much, it's not perfect. I still make mistakes. I still screw up. I still do all this, but I mean, I know kind of what my formula is, right? I meet up with my sponsees once a week. We meet every Sunday after a meeting. We talk, we check in, do step work. I take care of all my school assignments. I wake up, I drink coffee. I live a very simple life, and it works for me. And that's after years of grinding. That's after years of constantly looking at myself and 10th stepping and sending emails about my day and all this, right? And it's not this. It's not ego and it's not arrogance, but it's a feeling of, I know what works for me, and I'm very comfortable, and I'm still, I'm no longer addicted to the program, if that makes sense. I didn't get sober to be addicted to Alcoholics Anonymous. I don't want to stay at a AA club and smoke cigarettes with people for the rest of my life. That's just not in my, it's not attractive to me anymore. But what is attractive is, not so much complacent in the program, but I want to do stuff with my life. That's why I'm going to school. I do not feel complacent in my life, which is I think very important. You got to have goals. So yeah.
So what came to mind is that I'm as close to the gutter as anybody, and I was in the gutter. I don't want to go back. And for me, if I work my program, I feel I will stay out of the gutter. And so I wake up every morning and I work my program. I reach out to my higher power. I work my steps, the ones that I do, which is 3, 10, 11, and 12. And I'll try to hit meetings when I can, at least once a week, if not 2 or 3 times. And in doing so, I stay out of the gutter. Do I ever feel like I got this and I don't have to do that? All the time. I feel like I got it. I feel like I don't have to do that stuff. But I listen to what Joe taught me, which is it works if you work it, and complacency kills. And if I don't work it, I don't think it'll work. I truly believe it won't work, and I'll relapse in whatever issues I have. And complacency kills. If I stop doing that, I think it will kill me like it was before. All this stuff was killing me and my family. Love you.
Love you, man. So I'll just say a couple of things and then we can wrap up. But one of the things that came to mind is like recovery is not designed to be your life. Even though, I'm saying as those words are coming out of my mouth, like recovery is my life. But it's not designed for everybody to, for recovery to be everybody's life. It's designed to enable you to live a life that is fulfilling with some happiness, freedom, and joy, so on and so forth. And I always have to remember that my problem was, is, and always will be Joe. And that's never going to change. Always. I'm always going to be my problem. The drugs, the alcohol, the fighting, the being the class clown, the sneaking out, all of that behavior that I engaged in to change the way that I felt and try to fill this hole in my heart, those were my solutions. They weren't my problem. They were incomplete solutions and they didn't work for very long, and they for sure didn't fill that hole in my heart. But my problem is Joe. That's why, I've been doing this now a little over 24 and a half years, and I still work the steps. I still go to meetings. I still have a sponsor. My sponsor has 30 years sober. He still works the steps. He still goes to meetings, so on. And he has a sponsor, and so on and so forth, because my character defects aren't going away. They might not be as glaring as they were once upon a time, but my selfishness, my ego, my fear, my arrogance, the list goes on and on. Like, those are things that I'm hopefully going to be working on for the rest of my life. And it was never really about all that stuff, all the behavior. It was always about Joe, being my own worst critic, having really low self-esteem, not feeling like I fit right in my own skin. And I can still feel some of that stuff today, especially if I'm not taking care of myself. If I get laxed in my program, not that I'm ever going to be perfect, but it's that complacency kills thing. It really does. And complacency usually sets in when things are kind of smooth, when it's been okay for a little while and the boat really isn't being rocked or the kid's not on fire anymore. That's when you want to push the gas even harder.